I'm kind of curious that while you've given a boost to capital expenditure and increased outlay to PM Awas Yojana, you've also cut the Manrega budget by almost 33% or 30,000 crore. Why have you done that?
Actually, the answer lies in your own question.
Okay.
PM Awas Yojana is also to be done by workers in the area, rural area, who normally would have gone for, let us say, in the absence of this, would have gone for Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme.
Right.
That's one answer, because even this has got to be done by people in the rural areas who are looking for jobs, just as Jal Jeevan Mission also goes through rural works. So they have these opportunities as well, which are coming not in a small incremental change, 6% increase, 79,000 crores for PM Awas, and also Jal Jeevan also getting a huge allocation. So these two also are there along with them. Second, Manrega is a demand-driven scheme. The more people come saying we want the job, we give them the work. So what is stated at the budget time estimate tends to keep adding to its resources or demands based on what comes from states. I need more. Then we add more to it and go to the parliament with a supplementary demand. So if you see the last 3 to 4 years, inclusive of the COVID year, naturally,
yes,
the BE number and the RE numbers are so different in that the RE is much higher. And if you now go back to the last 2 years where the actual numbers are available, BE, RE and the actuals, you will see the actuals are lots more than the BE, and in some cases exactly as much as the RE, which is enhanced, or even better than the RE in increased amount when you realize it in the actuals. So you end up spending a lot more even as you're going on. So I'm a bit now worried that this is becoming a staid question. Manrega, you cut it. Just see the pattern for the last 3 years. It starts with a number at the BE, keeps going on because it's demand driven, and when the supplementary demand stage comes, it's actually a lot more.
Yes. So more opportunities have been created, so that's
right.
Yeah, so I agree. The real average GDP growth rate is 6.5%, as the economic survey says. With a little more reforms, the survey posits that it could even be a little higher at 7 to 8%. Now, what is the realistic and the desirable sort of growth rate for India if it were to become, the third largest economy in the world by the end of this decade?
Desirable is one thing, but that desirable number will have to be tempered down by the global realities.
Yes.
The kind of uncertainties with every economy in the world faces. I don't think any one economy is so immune that the global volatilities don't affect them. So every economy is affected, particularly for a country like India, which for at least 2 critical items entirely depends on imports: fuel, fertilizer. So when you're looking at importing that many big ticket items, your uncertainties are lots more and lots more pronounced. But even provisioning for that and building a budget, we have definitely ensured that we will be not as much be affected by such uncertainties as would any other country be. And therefore the numbers that we've given for the growth is very realistic.
Right. One thing that struck me this time when I was listening to your budget speech was the absence of any mention of disinvestment or asset monetization. Why was that? Why has that at least seeming to take a backseat in the last year or so?
No, it is still there in the budget documents.
Right.
It may not have been a part of my speech, but it is in the appendix to the speech. It's also in the rest of the documents where we give the actual numbers and the activities which are going on and so on. See, the cabinet has after all taken a call that certain companies will have to be privatized, and that motion has the approval of the authority concerned, which is the cabinet. So the process goes on. But of course, because we'll have to also see when is the best time for it to be done, given the fact that we've already done the homework and kept it ready for just going out to the market, this consumes a lot of time, this preparatory time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Post that is when we literally watch out for the market and then put it out. So both the factors, preparation and best time in the market, influence when you put it out. The process is on many of these items.
So you're saying it's a question of timing? The commitment to privatization remains as strong as ever?
Absolutely, particularly on those where the cabinet has already given the go-ahead.
So last year you'd spoken about the privatization of 2 PSU banks. What happened to that? Have you identified the banks? Is the process on?
This is what is happening. The process is on. The amendments will have to happen in the Act, right. And then also look at the market, and then it'll have to go through.
So it is very much on?
Of course it's on, because the cabinet has given the approval.
Right. So Nirmala ji, the export sector is suffering because of slowdown in major markets. What are the options to mitigate the impact of weak international economies for us today?
See, it has two-sided problem. One, you have to make up for those handicaps that Indian exporters face, whether in logistics, whether it is the cost of electricity, or whether it is any other inherent handicap that they may have in terms of labor, or in terms of the place they are located in, and so on. So for these inefficiencies because of certain handicaps, it is necessary to give them some kind of a redressal, in the sense give them some incentive, or the RODTEP like scheme which is already on. So that's one thing. But it's also the usual way in which you would say, if a market is difficult, look for newer markets. If a market is difficult, see what you want to do about making yourself attractive for that market. You do road shows, or you spend money in branding yourself, or you appoint such agents who will tell us about the tastes in that and preferences in that market, and so on. And looking for another market, you will obviously spend some money and go on road shows, open up avenues there. But today, the typical problem that you face, not just you, meaning Indian exporters, but many face, is the lack of demand in those markets because of recession, which are normally our marketplaces where we send our products, whether it's your textile, whether it is your diamonds, whether it's your gems and jewelry, whether it is your tea, whether it's your basmati rice, and so on. So I'm taking those which are symbolic of India. There are others, components, auto components, electronic parts, which you very well manufacture today. So when the recession has hit these economies, and when I say these economies, not just those in which you're present, but even for the newer markets which you might otherwise aim at, all of them are hit by it. So that's where the problem gets even more compounded, and we'll have to work together with the exporters to see how best we can help.
News 18 India की वेब सीरीज FIR नंबर 208 स्ट्रीमिंग टुडे।